I've had the same Denon S710W in operation for going on 10 years now. And that's because I did some research ahead of time and knew what I had and what I might need a little bit further in the future. So when should you upgrade? Well, when the capabilities of your AVR can no longer match what you're trying to do with your home theater setup. So let's break it down by talking about what AVRs do and what's new in the last few years. And we're going to be featuring one of the latest from Denon. This is the X3900H. So we'll check out some of the features that this very capable mid-range AVR has, what they mean, and whether it's something that you should upgrade to in your home theater. So going back to the basics, what is an AVR or a receiver? Well, it is the brains of your home theater. It's taking all of your audio sources, both analog and digital, and connecting them to your video sources, like the latest TV that you have. It's also, in a way, the heart because it sends power out to passive speakers that you have connected. So it combines quite a few different pieces of hardware together if you're comparing it to a traditional stereo system, and that's one of the reasons why you want to look into the features of your AVR, think about what you are currently using in your home theater setup and what you might eventually grow into in the future. But even beyond calculating and decoding all these different audio modes and inputs and taking them to video, a lot of newer AVRs can also do room calibration as well, which will take into consideration different aspects of your room and try to counteract different reflections that might be hiding some of the sound. An AVR really can do a lot. And so when you are looking to buy a new one, what I like to do, what I did with my last one that set me up for 10 years, was I looked at my space, I looked at my equipment, I looked at what I knew that I was going to be using now, but also maybe what I might want to grow into in the future. So what will your system be like? Are you doing the standard 5.1, or are you going to be maybe expanding to something else down the line, maybe doing a 7.1.2 with Dolby Atmos? And another little quick tip here, if you're not sure what the different numbers mean, the 7.1.2, the first number, the 7, is how many surround channels that you have. A 2.1 would be 2 speakers with a subwoofer. So in your standard 5.1 surround sound for a home theater, we have 3 channels up front. We have the center and a left and right channel, and then we have the 2 surround channels. And so that makes up your 5.1 with a subwoofer as well. And then if you add another point, so a 7.1.2, that last 0.2, that's talking about height channels. So that would be where Dolby Atmos is coming into play. All right, so now let's break it down and talk about some more specific features on AVRs. First, let's look at inputs. Almost all AVRs will have a bank of RCA or analog audio inputs, as well as multiple HDMI inputs, but this is where things can start to get a little bit different. The X3900H, for example, as well as all other X series AVRs from Denon, has a turntable input, a phono input. So if you want to listen to your turntable, that's something you can do on here. Notably, that is not present on the S line from Denon. So even the latest S980H does not feature a phono input. And while the older Denon that I had Apple AirPlay, newer ones like the X3900H, they have AirPlay 2, which is a noticeable increase in functionality because you can use any device that's on AirPlay 2 and set up multi-room listening. So you could be listening on this receiver, as well as some speakers set up in the kitchen or something like that, or some outdoor speakers that are also AirPlay 2 compatible. But there are more inputs than just standalone audio sources. Specifically, when comparing an older AVR like my Denon to this newer one, there are the same number of HDMI inputs, but the X3900H can support higher resolution, doing up to 8K at 60 FPS or 4K at 120. And those are all HDCP 2.3 compliant. And while you may not be using an 8K display, I know I'm not in my home setup, if you do purchase a receiver that is capable of that, that means that down the line, if you do end up upgrading to it, you won't have to get a different receiver. But there are many more affordable AVRs that also support 8K, so that alone should not be a reason for upgrading to the X3900H. And where this mid-tier AVR starts to really shine compared to some older or lower tier AVRs is when it comes to outputs. The main feature here is that this is a 9.4 channel receiver, but it can process up to 11.4 channels. So that means there are a huge variety of different ways you could set this up. You could just run this as a 5.1 if you wanted to, but you could also run it as a 9.1 with 9 channels for your main surround sound, kind of like what's in our Immersive room room at Sweetwater's headquarters. You could also do a 7.2.2 if you wanted a 7-point surround sound, but then also Dolby Atmos with 2 height channels. Or if you want a little bit more height channel separation and detail, you could do a 5.4.4. So that would have 4 height channels, and the cool thing about this is that it has 4 separate subwoofer outputs. So each channel for your subwoofer can be set up differently and calibrated to your room and to your system. And I realized we should turn this around to actually show all these different outputs because there is a lot going on the back of the receiver. So you can see all the different main channel outputs down here along the bottom. But another really cool feature of this one is that we mentioned it could process up to 11 channels. And so some other things that you can do is run your 9 powered channels here, but then there is a bank of pre-outs here. And so you can get that 11 channel by running pre-outs to some separate amplifiers that are run to some separate speakers to get that full 11 channel output from this receiver. Now the X3900H still has 105 watts per channel just in itself. So this can do some serious power just by itself, but there are going to be some people, some situations, some setups where you want to do more. And this just opens up the doors for more customizability to get it to really fit your space. And while typically when you are running a surround sound, you do have to run individual speaker wires to every single speaker that you are using, Denon has said that there's going to be a feature that's coming with a future update that will allow you to wirelessly connect surround speakers, and those would be specific Denon home smart speakers. So you can use those as a part of your surround sound system for your home theater. That could be a pretty cool feature if you wanted to incorporate some wireless speakers into your surround sound. If you have something in the middle of your living room that you don't really want to run wires to, but you want to have the best placement for your surround sound, using some of these wireless speakers when that feature becomes available might be a really nice way to do that. And make sure you subscribe because I'm sure we will demonstrate that feature when it becomes available on this receiver. But there are also some other updates on the X3900H compared to the older X3800H, and some of those are geared straight for gamers. So one new thing is that it has 1440p pass-through for video, and that's a common resolution when it comes to PC gaming. If you have your standard 27-inch monitor, it's probably running 1440p. So that is something that might appeal to gamers out there. Another thing is the inclusion of AMD FreeSync, and that is another language for variable refresh rate. It's AMD's specific number of certificates or certifications that a product has to reach to be able to be AMD FreeSync certified. So that's going to help with reducing screen tearing, little artifacts on your screen when the refresh rate isn't matching between your source and your TV or monitor. So not something that everybody will use all the time, but for the gamers out there, that makes this a more capable, a more compatible device that will work better between your different gaming consoles, your PC, your TV, or your gaming monitors as well. One other reason you may want to upgrade is with immersive audio formats as well. So Dolby Atmos is the standard, and that's what you're going to see a lot of media coming through with Dolby Atmos. But the X3900H and some of the previous models have IMAX Enhanced, which is another thing where the content has to meet a certain number of criteria to enable this IMAX Enhanced mode. And so you know that it has this certification. Home theater enthusiasts who are looking for the best kind of experience might be looking for that. But once again, that's not as common as Dolby Atmos. That's more of a latest and the greatest. So if it's something specific you're looking for, this receiver can do it, as well as some older generations, but might not once again be the only reason you want to upgrade to this. And for other immersive formats, this receiver can do RO 3D, also Sony 360 reality audio. Another nice feature and benefit of the X3900H, as well as some other more recent receivers, is room correction. Now, Audeze room correction has been around for a long time. It's on that 10-year-old Denon that I've been talking about. The X3900H has the latest version of Audeze, the most powerful one, which is Multi-EQ XT32, which is basically a higher resolution version of it. So it can measure and make more adjustments than what some of the older or lower tier versions of Odyssey can do. But beyond that, if it's not enough for you, this also supports Dirac Live. Now, it's a third-party feature. It does not come included on the X3900H, but it is compatible, so you can upgrade to it down the line. Now, there are also different tiers of Dirac, so you can get the basic one where it's just going to calibrate the lower end frequencies from, I think, 20 to 500 hertz, or you can also upgrade to the full spectrum range, which can do 20 to 20,000 hertz, and even get more detailed with the Dirac Art mode. But that will set you back about $650 for both of those combined. So might not be something you want to do right out of the box, but once again, down the line, if you are really trying to dial in your home theater, it's nice to have a receiver that is compatible with that and can do that. So, you invest in a lot of equipment at one point, and then down the line, you're thinking about upgrading your equipment, but you also remember or I could just really get serious about calibrating my receiver, my equipment to my room, invest in the Dirac Live, really dial it in, and see if that makes a big enough difference for you. The biggest thing that you see with Dirac Live is that it measures your room and takes into consideration what sort of frequencies are being lost from your room due to reflections or different hot or cold spots in your room, and it compensates for those. It's aimed at improving intelligibility so you can understand what the actors are saying and really pick up on all the dialogue, but also get all the other details and not miss anything that's in these incredible audio mixes. So when it comes down to it, coming back to the title, when should you upgrade your AVR? That's going to be a very specific question for you and your needs, your budget, your equipment, your room, and something you really need to ask yourself. In most situations, a 5.1 surround system is a great setup, and you won't need something with all the bells and whistles something like this the X3900H can deliver. But if you are looking to expand and want to be able to expand more down the road and take advantage of multiple height channels and multiple subwoofer outputs, if you want to be able to plug a turntable into your receiver, if you want to be able to stream digital music and you want to take advantage of the latest immersive audio formats, but also calibrate your room and your receiver to your room, then that might be a time where you want to look at something like the X3900H. I've experienced what a bigger setup can look and sound like, and you can too by coming into the immersive audio room at Sweetwater. There's an incredible JBL Synthesis 9.4.4 room that's been custom built in the Sweetwater store just to showcase what kind of a top tier home theater setup can sound like. So let me know down in the comments, is it time for you to upgrade? Are you looking for something new, or are you set with what you have? And if you want to learn more about this receiver or any of the other options that Sweetwater offers, just give your Sweetwater sales engineer a call or visit sweetwater.com.